first regular session of the Parliament is hereby open. We request the Honorable
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين من الصراط المستقيم صراط أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا إننا نسألك العفو والمغفرة يا الله. اللهم وفق لما تحبه وترضاه. اللهم اهدنا إلى ما فيه خير وصلاح لأمة الإسلام ولبنسمر يا الله. اللهم اهدنا إلى ما فيه خير وصلاح لأمة الإسلام والمسلمين ولبنسمر خاصة يا الله. وصلى الله تعالى على خير سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والحمد لله.
Please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem to be followed by the Bangsamoro hymn.
Ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, ewas ang sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyang ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa dagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay iyak ang tulak, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitingin, luman ang araw ng walhaging pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo, ang hindi kaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang
Simula noon hanggang ngayon, isa ang naging layon. Magkaisa ang magulong, karitingan ay marugtong. Tumayo tayo mula sa hamon ng nakaraan, iyapos ang panganib na umalang. Pinangako sa puso at paniniwala, ang ginhawa para sa kabataan. Bangsamoro ay tagumpay, bunga ng pawis, sugo at buhay. Kapayapaan, katarungan, ay ating nang nakamtan. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, Bangsamoro, Bangsamoro, lagi kang mamahalin. Walang pipigil sa damdamin, mga pangako'y tutuparin. Habang buhay kami sa'yo'y magbabantay, mananatili sa puso't isipan. Ang kahapong humintay na nagbuwis ng buhay, nasa piling na ng may kapal. Bangsamoro'y tagumpay, bunga ng pawis, dugo at buhay. Kapayapaan, katarungan, ay ating nang nakamtan. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, pagpalain Bangsamoro.
You will take your respective seats. May I direct the Secretary General to call the roll?
Present.
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 Ang patuwang, ang ayatig, ang tao, arnado, asnawi, babaw, bandong, pasman, tanggaw, ilanggaran, lumama alpa, Ibrahim, Ismael, Estino, Rayat, Guerra, Haji Abdullah, Hasan, Sukban, Ismail, Yajuri, Jafiran,
Present.
Ipiru, Kahanan, Karun,
Present.
Lim, Long Benjamin, Long Mustafa,
Present.
Lorena, Makakuha, Makapaar, Makasalong, Makatanong, Marwani, Mari, Mantawe, Mastura, Matalang, Awani, Mendoza, Timbang Michael, Timbang Tawakan, Miswari Abdul Karim, Miswari Norbert, Nico Brasol Jr., Munoz, Orano, Pakason, Pak, Pangandaman, Pakaso, Yang Senior, Ramos,
Present.
Salenda, Sani, Sanki, Sema Omar Yasser, Sema Romeo, Sheikh Silungan, Simulini Junior, Sulaiman, Tago, Usman, Puto, Oyo, Yaku. Mr. Speaker, 61 members of the parliament responded by physically responded, and 11 members of the parliament responded by Zoom. We have a total of 72 members of the parliament. We therefore certify, Mr. Speaker, that there is the presence of all.
With 72 members of the parliament responding to the roll call and are certified by the Secretary General, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. The floor leader,
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Mr. Speaker, I move to amend the order of business for today to include resolution number 29, as the said resolution covers the same subject matter as the other resolutions for consideration, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
there being no objection to the amendment, the chair declares it as approved. Floor leader, I think there's an item there on the journal of last meeting. Would you like to move that it be
Yes,
approved without amendment?
yes, Mr. Speaker, the next item in the agenda is the reading and approval of the journal of the previous session. Copies of the journal of last week's inauguration have been distributed to all members of parliament. I move to dispense with the reading thereof and move to approve the same.
There's a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal, and there being no objection, the motion is hereby approved. Floor leader.
Mr.
Because-
Speaker, the next item is resolutions, messages, petitions, memorials, and communications. For discussion are proposed resolution number 14 and proposed resolution number 15, Mr. Speaker. I move to open it for discussion. I move to move it as part of the business of the day, Mr. Speaker. Tama.
There any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. The two resolutions of the same import, 14 and 15. Please proceed.
Another proposed resolution number 16, Mr. Speaker, I move for the same to be discussed as business of the day, Mr. Speaker.
There any objection to the motion? There being none, the motion is approved. The floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We move on to the business for the day.
Please proceed.
The three resolutions are now being offered for discussion on the floor, Mr. Speaker. The first one, proposed resolution number 14 and proposed resolution number 15, Mr. Speaker.
Please proceed.
And 29, Mr. Speaker. Yes. May I request any of the authors to speak, Mr. Speaker? MP Anayatin wishes to be recognized.
Yes, the Honorable Anayatin is recognized to speak for proposed resolution number 14.
Assalamualaikum, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. I pay my respect to the Chief Minister, Honorable Ahod Balawag B. Ibrahim, Speaker, Honorable Pangalian Balindong, Deputy Speakers, Deputy Chief Ministers, the floor leader, MP Attorney Laiha Dumama Alba, and fellow members of the Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. The Parliament of Bangsamoro Transition Authority of the Bangsamoro government received the sad news with a shock on the passing of a wonderful healthcare doctor, Dr. Amirel S. Guzman. His untimely demise indeed brings sorrow in the Bangsamoro region. With sincere thoughts and prayers to express to the bereaved family, friends, and colleagues our heartfelt condolences. Dr. Amirel was an extraordinary young doctor with incomparable commitment in the service of Bangsamoro people. At his young age, he could not be appointed as acting chief of the Iranon District Hospital in Parang, Maguindanao, and just recently appointed as Director General of the Ministry of Health in the BARM. If it were not for his stupendous involvement, contribution, and excellent participation to sustain a low COVID-19 transmission in the region, and advocated that communities across BARM be vaccinated. Mr. Speaker, it is with pride to share with you that this representation would not have propounded the proposed Bill number 150 entitled An Act Establishing and Constructing a Bangsamoro Medical School in Cotabato City to be known as Bangsamoro Medical School if it were not for Dr. Usman's modest suggestion. His humble intent is to provide the young Bangsamoro who desires to be professional doctors but do not have the means to pursue such a dream. Mr. Speaker, it is such a great loss that a wonderful person as Dr. Usman left us this early. He could have other more brilliant ideas to contribute for a more developed COVID-19 free and healthier Bangsamoro. Mr. Speaker, this is the best chance to say thank you, Dr. Amirel S. Usman, for all your hard work, efforts, and unwavering commitment in rendering your utmost services for the health and safety of Bangsamoro people. Your exemplary commitment will not go unnoticed, for you will be perpetually remembered. Hence, the enactment of this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, MP DS Sema wishes to be recognized.
The Honorable Sema.
Mr. Speaker, may I move first that the Secretariat will read the title of the resolutions and the name of the authors and co-authors before all authors be allowed to speak on their proposed
Secretariat
resolutions.
is directed to read the resolution number 14.
Proposed resolution number 14 entitled a resolution expressing sympathy and condolences to the bereaved family of the late Dr. Amirel S. Usman, BIPSM, BPCSA, CSA, recognizing and honoring physical talent of the individual and people whose dedication as public servant to the Bangsamoro people. Also, a member of the Parliament, Susanna S. Military. Proposed resolution number 15 entitled a resolution expressing sincere gratitude to Dr. Amirel Usman for his dedicated service to Bangsamoro people in conveying interest conferences of Bangsamoro constitutional directing members of the Parliament. His family for his students. Authors, members of the Parliament Abdullah bin Hashim and Shah Al-Haq bin Ma'aiba. resolution number 29 by resolution expressing deepest sympathy and condolences. The very family and loved ones of former Ministry of Health.
For a minute.
Mr. Speaker,
Session is suspended for a minute. Sure, the floor leader.
Mr. Speaker,
Yan,
Mr. Speaker,
MP
Eh?
Candao wishes to be recognized on the Zoom.
MP Kandao is recognized.
yeah, thank you, Majority Floor Leader. Assalamu alaikum. My respect to all my colleagues. I just would like to give a brief statement to support all the resolutions expressing sympathy to the late Dr. Usman. Please put on record my heartfelt gratitude to the departed and to extend my sincere sympathy to his family and friends. Dr. Usman supported all my medical projects that belong to my TDF of 2020. And that alone really made me feel that the BARM has been very supportive of my programs through his person. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Thank you, Majority Floor Leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's all.
The manifestation of the Honorable MP Kandao is noted. Floor leader.
Yes, another author of the proposed resolution wishes to speak. Mr. Speaker, may we recognize MP Dr. Hashemi Dilangalen.
Dr. Dilangalen, Honorable MP Dilangalen is recognized.
Auzubillah minasyaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My courtesy and respect to our Chief Minister Ahod Balawag Ibrahim, Speaker of the Parliament, Honorable Attorney Pangalian Balindong, the Deputy Speakers, the Deputy Ministers, the Floor Leader, and the rest of the esteemed and honorable members of the Parliament. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I take great honor and pleasure in addressing this honorable BTA Parliament for the first time as its member. I thank all those who sent me welcome messages and those who provided me with the essential instructional materials I need in order to learn and understand the rules of this hall. Your kind gestures makes me feel really on board now. We pass this resolution, Mr. Speaker, because Dr. Amirul Usman was a public servant who is loved by many for his humility and dedication to the public service. In fact, Mr. Speaker, nung day ng libing ni Doc Ams, pumunta po ako doon at kinausap ko po yung kanyang asawa. And I find out na kahit masama na ang pakiramdam niya, he tend to attend all the matters in the Ministry of Health. Dr. Amirel Usman was a beloved brother in the medical profession who exemplified the virtues of a physician. Being a doctor myself, I feel the selflessness of Dr. Usman in performing his sworn duties, especially during the pandemic. Ika nga may kasabihang sa Ingles na ang pagkamatay ng isang doktor ay pagkamatay ng nakakararami. Ito mga frontliners natin nararapat lang na bigyan ng recognition at pagkilala at pagsuporta. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Floor leader.
Mr. Speaker, we move to open the floor for the period of interpellation. Consolidate.
Anybody who wants to? Honorable Sema is recognized. Omar Sema.
Mr. Speaker, since these three resolutions discuss on the same subject matter and deal with the expression of the same sympathies, I move to consolidate them, Mr. Speaker.
There's a motion to consolidate these three resolutions which are of similar import. Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. Subject to style.
It's just consolidation, Mr. Speaker. It's not yet an approval of the resolution, Mr. Speaker.
Floor leader.
Yes, we
Correct,
move to open the period of interpellation. Okay, we move to close the period of interpellation. Move to open the period of amendments.
Mr. Speaker, may I be recognized? Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, may I be recognized?
Mr. Speaker.
The floor leader.
Deputy Speaker Lanang Ali.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, may I suggest, Mr. Speaker, that this resolution, may I be recognized, Mr. Speaker? Since this resolution is a resolution about condolences, Mr. Speaker, and this is not debatable, may I suggest that we have to move it an omnibus motion to dispense with the period of interpellation and debate and the period of amendment, and furthermore for the immediate approval of the same resolution, Mr. Speaker, the consolidated resolution, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker.
What is the pleasure of the Honorable Baintan?
Mr. Speaker, I move that all the members of the Parliament present will be co-authored to this resolution, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection to the motion making all the members co-author? There being none, let's treat this as a simple resolution for and approve it. Floor leader.
I move to consolidate and approve the resolution subject to style, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion, the resolution, three resolutions are approved, but to be consolidated and subject to style. The three motions are approved. Floor leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we now move to proposed resolution number 16. May we ask the Secretariat to please read the title of the resolution?
The secretary is so directed.
Proposed resolution number 16. A resolution adopting the calendar of session for the first regular session of the second parliament. Authors, members of the parliament, shall have been the Aliba, Larissa, the Julie, Anya, Tarhata, Brahman, Narayan, and Anna, and the Vice
So, Leader,
I wish to move for the period, to open the period of interpellations. Okay, MP Tago and then MP Ambuluto wish to be recognized, Mr. Speaker.
MP, Deputy Speaker Tago is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and the floor leader. This is only a purposes of inquiry to the authors of the measure proposed resolution number 16. A while ago, earlier we have an caucus and we agreed that there will be a 3-week session in a month. May I know from the authors of this proposed resolution, is that agreement were considered in our caucus, or we just stick to the 2-week rule session in a month? From the authors, please, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, one of the authors, MP Ana Basman, wishes to be recognized.
The Honorable MP Anna Basman is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah mabad. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I understand the substance of the discussions during the caucus. However, this resolution is being proposed still within the context of our provisional rules, which only states the 3rd and 4th week of the months. Mr. Speaker, in the appropriate time, once our new rules are approved, inshallah, a new resolution is going to be in order. In the meantime, Mr. Speaker, this proposed resolution is consistent with our prevailing rules.
This proposed resolution on our calendar business is to be consistent only on our rules. Can we not make amendments now, because anyway, parliamentary rules can be amended anytime. So instead of going back to the rules, we should discuss now our calendar of session, Mr. Speaker, so that there is no need to go back again to our rules and amend again the calendar of session.
Mr.
We
Speaker.
can do, I think we can do it, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Basman.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are not opposed to that idea. In fact, that is a welcome proposal. In due time, Mr. Speaker, we are open to amending the rules of the proposed resolution accordingly.
Thank you very much. Last one query to the sponsor of the mission, Mr. Speaker, regarding the date of mandatory adjournment, which is March 31. Why you propose the mandatory adjournment March 31?
Mr. Speaker, again, according to our current rules, our mandatory adjournment falls on the last Thursday before the start of Ramadan, and that, Mr. Speaker, according to our research, is the last day before the start of Ramadan.
Yes, because
I think it's April 1, the first day of Ramadan for 2023.
because our rules, section 5 on rule 6 states the convening of the regular session shall happen every year on the second Tuesday after the month of Ramadan. But it not say when was the mandatory adjournment will end, because the rules. That's why I want to be clarified with this, because the rule said also, and not later than 30 days before the opening of the next regular session. I think this is the subject of our, when we crafted the rules. So how the floor leader understand the provision of section 5, rule 6 of our parliamentary rules.
Your Honor,
In order that the calendar of sessions should be consistent with the parliamentary rules, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Tago, I just want to remind everybody that having adopted the rules of the previous parliament, that is the rule that is applying now. But I think everybody is agreeable to amending the rules in due time. In due time, we will be amending the rules, and only members are welcome to introduce their proposed amendment. In the meantime, we have to content ourselves with the rules of the previous parliament, which was adopted. And even in the stages of the bill, I see that these are the
Yes.
same stages in the previous. If we want to change it, maybe in due time, maybe next week or the week after, we have to amend the rules. So let us not discuss some proposed amendments.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just mentioned it only because our mandatory adjournment, I'm not sure so, but in order to be consistent with our proposed or the existing parliamentary rules, so that everything is in coincide with each other. And that's all. We can, in a way, as stated by our speaker, we can discuss that in the amendment of our parliamentary rules, because our amendment will come later on. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. That's all for the clarification.
Thank you. The floor leader, next.
I move to close the period of interpellation. Okay. I move to open the period of amendment. Okay. DS, Sema.
The Honorable Omar Sema is there.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, may I propose an amendment to the title, Mr. Speaker? That instead of the word, the use of the word session in singular, it should be the first term, the first word, session. Adopting the first word,
Your Honor,
adopting the calendar of sessions.
Your Honor, this was
Yes, sir.
it was already approved and subject to style. And maybe in the preparation of the final resolution to be passed, Your Honor can submit this amendment. Instead of
Title, it's in the title, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
The title cannot be subjected to style, I believe.
Yeah.
I move to suspend the session, Mr. Speaker. 1 minute.
Session is suspended for a minute.
My proposed amendment is adopting the calendar of sessions for the first regular session of the second parliament.
Mr. Speaker, we are referring here to the first session, which is composed of multiple days of session, but the title reflects the first regular session of the Parliament, hence in the singular. We unfortunately, we cannot accept the proposed amendment.
We accept that, Mr. Speaker.
Floor leader.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, MP Jajuri would like to be recognized.
Thank you, Majority Floor Leader. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Mr. Speaker, I am a co-author of the resolution, but I'd like to point out that we inadvertently missed certain dates that should have been included in the list of sessions. Specifically, next week, which would be September 27 as the resumption of session and September 29 as adjournment of session. This is, of course, unless there will be other amendments to include the second week of each month as proposed earlier. But that notwithstanding, the intention, Mr. Speaker, is to include the last week of September, which would be September 27 to 29. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, we accept the proposed amendment.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, DS Tago. Wishes to be recognized. Okay. MP Suharto Ismael would like to be recognized, Mr. Speaker.
MP Ismail, the floor.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just noticed on the schedule of Ramadan that it should start on March 23. So therefore, I move to amend the schedule here of the mandatory adjournment on March 21, 2023.
What does the floor leader say?
Mr. Speaker, if that is the more accurate date for the start of Ramadan next year, then we accept the proposed amendment.
Proposed amendment is accepted. Floor leader,
Mr. Speaker, I wish to move for 1 minute suspension.
1 minute suspension.
If there, I move to close the period of amendments, Mr. Speaker.
What is the pleasure of the Honorable
Okay.
Bong Parcasio? You are recognized.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Mr. Speaker, during our caucus this morning, I suggested that we will have 3 weeks in a month session. Therefore, I heard other members of this August body to have also expressed the same sentiment. With that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to move for the amendment of the dates of our sessions to add those dates in each month so that we will have 3 weeks of sessions per month.
Session is suspended for 1 minute. Resolution. The Honorable Parcasio.
Mr. Speaker, with the explanation that was given to me, that there will be a time to properly amend this, then I would withdraw my proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Floor Leader,
Yes, move to close the period of amendments.
there being no objection, the motion is approved.
Move to approve the proposed resolution subject to style, Mr. Speaker.
Being duly seconded, the motion is approved. Floor
One-
Leader,
I wish to move for a 1-minute suspension, Mr. Speaker.
the session is suspended for a minute.
Yes, we move to other matters, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
For other matters, we have the election of deputy majority floor leaders. Mr. Speaker, the majority moves for the election of the following deputy floor leaders. MP Attorney Raisa Jajuri, MP Attorney Mary Ann Arnado, MP Attorney Ana Basman, and MP Attorney Jose Lorena. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
There any objection to the motion? The motion was seconded. The named floor leaders are hereby appointed, elected as the floor leaders. 5.
Mr. Speaker, with the election of
There is one thorn among the roses. 4. 4. Yeah. So motion is approved.
with
Yes,
the
women empowerment.
with the election of the deputy floor leaders, Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend for the session to give way to the oath of office of the same.
There is objection. The motion is approved. Mag-ingat kayo ha, kay mga floor leaders lahat.
Anything.
At
No.
we are session resumed. We are requesting the Chief Minister to administer the oath to the just elected floor leaders. Chief Minister, dito ka na siguro. They will take their oath, the floor leader. Hindi na kailangan yung moral governor. Bigla na siya kung talabungin mo. Yan mo ito para maganda background nila. Ito kayo, nakapanda rito. Yung Lorena, is that Lorena is online. Takot na rin yung Lorena. Hindi na po.
Please, raise your hand. Sila I having been elected to the position of the Parliament. Bangsamoro autonomous region in Mindanao. Hereby solemnly swear.
Hereby solemnly swear.
I will. And faithfully
Well and faithfully
discharge to the best of my abilities
discharge to the best of my abilities
the duties of my present position
the duties of my present position
and of all others
all others
I will hereafter hold
I will hereafter hold
under the Republic of the Philippines.
under the Republic of the Philippines
That I support
that I support
and defend the Constitution
the Constitution
of the Philippines
of the Philippines,
and the organic law
the organic law
for the Bangsamoro autonomous region in Mindanao.
and the Bangsamoro autonomous region in Mindanao.
That I will be able to faith
I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and assurance
to the state.
the same.
That I will obey the laws,
I will obey the laws,
legal orders,
legal orders,
and decrees
and decrees
promulgated by the duly constituted authorities
promulgated by the duly constituted authorities
of the Republic of the Philippines.
of the Republic of the Philippines.
That I will impose
That I will impose
the obligation
obligation
upon myself voluntarily
voluntarily
without any reservation
and without reservation
or purpose of evasion.
purpose of the
So help me God.
I will, substitute for Julie. Lorena. Yo!
Thank you. Lagot na lang ako by Zoom. Nakag-mute ako.
Okay.
Thank you. Hmm.
Next one. Para then pag-insert natin si Liza Alamin. Why, ma'am? Teka mo babae. Kung na-raise man si June. Pero ka sa si June seven mo na. June rin na dati. The chair assume the floor leader.
Mr. Speaker, may I ask for another minute of suspension to explain something to the body, Mr. Speaker?
The chair suspended 1 minute.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen,
Chair assume floor leader.
the next item, Mr. Speaker, is the constitution of committees and composition. Mr. Speaker, based on the rules, we have 6 parliamentary committees, which includes the Special Committee on Marawi. 7 committees, including the Special Committee on Marawi. I move to approve the chairship of the following.
Please proceed.
For Committee on Rules,
Floor leader.
yours truly as majority, as floor leader, as chair, Mr. Speaker. For Committee on Ethics, Deputy Speaker Omar Yasser Sema. For Committee on Accounts, Deputy Majority Leader Anna Basman. For Committee on Amendments, Deputy Floor Leader MP Attorney Mary Ann Arnado. For Committee on Ways and Means, Deputy Speaker Paisalin Tago. For Committee on Blue Ribbon, Deputy Speaker Attorney Lanang Ali Jr. And for the Special Committee on Marawi, Deputy Chief Minister MP Ali Sulaiman. I so move for the approval of
There any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. Floor leader.
for the 16 statutory committees, Mr. Speaker. I move for the approval of the chairships of the following. For Committee on Local Government, Deputy Floor Leader MP Attorney Raisa Jajuri. For Committee on Social Services, Member of Parliament Engineer Aida Silongan. For Committee on Science and Technology, Deputy Speaker Omar Yasser Sema. Committee on Health, Member of Parliament Dr. Kadil Sinulinding Jr. Committee on Education, Member of Parliament Eddie Ali. Committee on Trade, Investment and Tourism, Member of Parliament Marjani Makasalong. Committee on Public Works, Member of Parliament Hussein Munoz. Committee on Finance, Member of Parliament Edward Guerra. Committee on Labor and Employment, Member of Parliament Ahmad Abbas. Committee on Agriculture, Fisheries and Agrarian Reform, Member of Parliament Matarul Estino. Committee on Public Order and Safety, Member of Parliament Suwaib Oranon. Committee on Indigenous People, Member of Parliament former Mayor Ramon Piang Sr. Committee on Environment, Natural Resources and Energy, Member of Parliament Tawakal Midtimbang. Committee on Transportation and Communications, Deputy Speaker Attorney Lanang Ali Jr. Committee on Human Settlements and Development, Member of Parliament Engineer Don Mustafa Loong. Committee on Bangsamoro Justice System. Deputy Floor Leader, Attorney Jose Lorena. I so move for the approval of.
There's a motion duly seconded. There being no objection, the motion is approved. Floor leader,
There being no other items in the agenda, I move for the adjournment of the session.
session is adjourned until tomorrow at 1:30.